The general population does not see lean and ripped as the same thing that the online fitness community does. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. But a quick reminder, if you guys will please click like down below, be greatly appreciated. If you're not following or subscribed, please do so. And if you'll be kind enough to drop me a comment down below, I would greatly appreciate that also. So, this really came to mind for me the other day. Who knows how many weeks it'll take before this video is up, but it was a few days, couple days before all this footage was filmed, all right? You guys know I'd started my cut by then. I'm like 4 pounds into the cut by that point. Added all my extra cardio. I'm out walking every day, doing my chicken, broccoli, and brown rice row diet. I'm like, look, I'm gonna go ahead and get really lean. Let's do a serious cut. Not even a slow cut. And I'm out doing it. And I was between my live streams. One of the neighbors stopped, one of the guys in the neighborhood. He's out walking to lose weight. He's a little overweight. It's about my age, and he stops me, and the first words out of his mouth were, "Do you have a single ounce of fat on your body?" And to me, that was fascinating. I stopped and talked to him for a few minutes, but it's kind of like, again, just like I come online and, of course I get people who give me a lot of compliments, but then I get a lot of people who are not even normal trolls and haters, but various fitness people. You're really fat, your body composition's bad, you're terrible. And, you'll look at some of them and they'll be, whatever, NPC competitors and stuff sometimes. And they push this idea, but it's kind of like, you may get almost as fat as me in your off season. And this is just how I look. I just walk around. It's not like I don't have a shirt on all the time. Like for me, I train shirtless year round. I've been doing it for years, a couple years at this point, to where I'm always that way. I used to have phases off and on where I did. I've gotten to where I just do it, and I'm just comfortable with it, and I do it, and I don't care. And it's just real, right? There's no lighting. It's just my normal garage. It's the regular garage overhead light, the sunlight coming in the door, right? There's nothing special. I don't use a bunch of fake tan. I don't have any Photoshop. I'm just lifting, right? And you guys see it day in and day out. It's just how I look, right? But it's interesting because you come online and there's this different, and it's not just about me. I want to be clear. This is about everybody out here. This whole community has this idea of what they consider fit, and the problem is it's oftentimes unsustainable, and which is also the fascinating point. They really think that people who are just out and about shirtless or training or doing their things, or who are fit, should be as lean as the people who are photoshopping or doing extreme unsustainable things to get to that body fat that they can't even stay at. Whereas when you take the average person and they see themselves, they see other people, they know other people who might even be fit, and they know very few people, even fit people, like to them, they don't walk around with deep abs all the time, right? But the fitness community would have you believe that all the influencers do that, when they may not even have abs 6 months out of the year at all, who get absolutely shredded. And I'm not saying there are not exceptions, there are exceptions. But, realistically, we know that's the case. But then, you come over to the real world, and I got the dude stop and ask me that, and people got mad. I got haters who got mad. No, they didn't. I'm like, no, I have really had women in my age category over 40 say things flat out like, you look like a Greek god. You look like a Greek statue, right? And I think a lot of that is because think about what the average person has been exposed to in their lifetime, say growing up and stuff, right? So think about the different people. Think about what they've seen even on TV is portrayed as amazing physiques, right? People are like, yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? But think about what Arnold looked like in Conan, right? To the average person, that was the most jacked, ripped thing they were used to seeing, and that was considered like extremely impressive, okay? WWE wrestling, but think about 80s times like that. Hulk Hogan, or even think about Dwayne Johnson, like The Rock. Not what he looks like now, but go back and what he looked like when he was in the WWE. He didn't have abs, yet he was considered to be this sex icon with a great physique and great body. So stop and think about what the average person exposed to, or think about, Vin Diesel, right, when he was coming up, or Brad Pitt in Fight Club. These were, for previous generations, this was what they were exposed to. So take people who are not in the fitness world. We've only recently seen, even in action movies, for younger generations, we've only really seen even leaner physiques and stuff. Common is a more recent thing. Like Wolverine, for some of the stuff, got pretty ripped, right? But that's the exception, right? Think of Tom Hardy as Bane. They wasn't really that lean. Okay, so on and so forth. Even Thor, one of the more impressive physiques. So context of what people outside of the fitness world consider to be a really lean, impressive aesthetic physique, even from a Hollywood perspective. Most of those physiques are not lean by bodybuilding or fitness world standards. In fact, they're oftentimes downright fat. Right? You take Bane in there, or in any of this stuff. A lot of times people are going to look at it and go, "Oh, that's kind of fluffy. That's kind of soft." Because we have this whole crazy idea in the fitness world of what we expect, and not understanding how many of your fitness icons are doing that, assuming there's no Photoshop, assuming all the magical lighting, but the ones who are even staying really lean, how many of them, especially the ones who are doing flexible dieting, how many of them use drugs to suppress their appetite? How many of them are like, I do Clen, I do T3. I use nicotine gum and nicotine patches just to keep my appetite under control so I can stay this lean. How common is that? Super common. Okay, so here's kind of the point I would point out to people in the fitness world. It's one thing if people are doing it with just discipline. Let's say they really do just eat that clean year round. They stay on top of their calorie tracking. They're training that hard, that much cardio. Okay, but how many of them who are still presenting this as obtainable literally have to have Clen and nicotine gum to not lose their deep abs? They can't even get by. If they quit doing them for a month, they lose it. And because a lot of them still don't have good habits, how many of them still eat garbage diets? Really not even always that healthy. They're still trying to work in a little ice cream and stuff into their macros every day. So you see that a lot. And it's not sustainable, yet they'll then present it as this is what we should be at. And then people accept it. The whole fitness community then really pulls this thing of, if you're not, like they look at any of these amazing physiques from past eras, especially golden era type bodybuilders, the pre the bronze era, they're like, yeah, that guy's kind of tubby. When they were the most legitimate, impressive physiques the world had ever seen a couple generations ago. It's just delusion. And people are then promoting, believing something that is absolutely not sustainable. As this is what's considered in shape and normal. And it's not. If you have to take appetite suppressing drugs and stimulant drugs to sustain it, if you're at that point to have to sustain it, you don't get to call that fitness.